Every evening, as the sun dips below the horizon and darkness falls, a familiar phenomenon begins. Your eyelids grow heavy, your focus dissolves, and your body naturally begins broadcasting signals that it is time to rest. Then, as the first rays of morning sunlight pierce through your window, your brain slowly reboots to face a brand new day. We experience this rhythm every single day of our lives, often without ever stopping to ask a seemingly simple question. Why do humans sleep at night instead of during the day? If you think the answer is simply because the night is dark, quiet, and there is nothing better to do, the truth goes much deeper. Human nighttime sleep is not just an accidental social habit. It is the result of an intricate symphony between a biological clock buried deep inside your brain, endocrine hormones, chemical sleep pressure building up with every waking hour, and a high-stakes evolutionary strategy shaped over millions of years. We sleep at night because the entire human body evolved to sync perfectly with the light-dark rotation of our planet. To understand why the night is our sanctuary for sleep, we first have to look at humanity's place in the animal kingdom. Biology divides Earth's animals into three main groups based on when they are active: nocturnal creatures like owls and bats, crepuscular creatures that thrive at dawn and dusk, and diurnal creatures that are active primarily during the day. Humans belong 100% to the diurnal group. Just look at your eyes. The human eye is beautifully engineered to process rich color and sharp microscopic detail. But that visual machinery only functions efficiently in bright light. We lack the reflective retinal tapetum and superior night vision of wild predators. Throughout our evolutionary history, our core survival tasks, hunting, foraging, navigating treacherous terrain, crafting tools, and reading facial expressions for social communication, all required sunlight. Nature made a logical division of labor. Daytime is the stage for human action and exploration, while the night, when our visual world fades away, is the ideal time to retreat and rest. But how does your body know exactly when day ends and night begins, even if you are locked inside a windowless room? The answer lies in a magnificent timing mechanism built right into our biology. The circadian rhythm, a biological cycle that runs on roughly a 24-hour loop. This is not an abstract concept. It is a physical coordination system that regulates your alertness, core body temperature, metabolism, and even your hunger throughout the day. The master control center for this clock is a tiny cluster of cells in the hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or the CN. You can think of the SCN as the conductor of your body's orchestra. This conductor constantly receives direct light signals from your retinas. When your eyes register bright morning sunlight, the SCN cues your entire body that it is time to stay alert and boost cardiovascular activity. As environmental light fades in the evening, the conductor signals a change in tempo, preparing your organs to shift into recovery mode. That is why morning sunlight is so vital. It acts as a daily reset button, preventing our internal biological clock from drifting out of sync with Earth's 24-hour rotation. And when this clock is forced off its natural rhythm, your body instantly pays the price in exhaustion, just like the disorientation of jet lag after flying across time zones, or the struggle of night shift workers fighting against the wiring of their own brains. When the SCN conductor senses that darkness has fallen, it immediately calls upon a second crucial player: melatonin. Scientists often call melatonin the hormone of darkness. There is a widespread misconception that melatonin is a powerful sedative that knocks your brain unconscious. In reality, it acts more like a quiet messenger. When melatonin levels rise in your bloodstream in the evening, it broadcasts a clear instruction to all your organs. Night has fallen, it is time to slow down. Under melatonin's guidance, your core body temperature drops by a degree or two. Your blood pressure eases, neural vigilance softens, and a gentle wave of drowsiness sets in. Your body officially shifts gears from energy consumption to maintenance and repair. However, In our modern world, this ancient mechanism faces a dangerous enemy: artificial light. When you lie in bed staring at a smartphone tablet or bright LED screens at midnight, the blue light emitting from those devices sends a direct biological lie to your brain. The sun is still shining. Deceived by that signal, the SCN immediately suppresses melatonin production. Your drowsiness vanishes, you toss and turn, your sleep schedule is pushed deep into the early morning hours, and the restorative quality of your night is completely shattered. Yet the biological clock and melatonin are only half of the story. If you have ever pulled an all-nighter to work or study, you know that the urge to sleep eventually becomes so overwhelming that no amount of bright light can keep you awake. That is because our bodies are driven by a second parallel system: sleep pressure. Imagine sleep pressure like an hourglass. From the exact moment you wake up in the morning, chemical sand begins to fall and accumulate inside your brain. The chemical compound acting as that sand is called adenosine. All day long, as your brain thinks, moves, and burns energy, adenosine is steadily produced and builds up in your neural tissues. The longer you stay awake, the more adenosine accumulates, creating a heavy biological weight that presses down on your brain, demanding sleep. The only way to clear this chemical sand out of your neural circuitry is through deep sleep. Now look at how these two systems work together. During the day, adenosine pressure steadily rises, but your circadian clock sends out powerful alertness signals triggered by sunlight, keeping you energetic and focused. When night falls, the magic happens. Adenosine sleep pressure reaches its absolute peak after 16 hours of wakefulness, just as your circadian clock shifts into rest mode and triggers the release of melatonin. This perfect alignment of forces is exactly why nighttime is our golden window. The moment sleep arrives, most naturally runs deepest and delivers its most powerful healing. But why did nature design such a complex dual system just to force us to sleep at night? To find the answer, we have to travel back to prehistory, where darkness had no streetlights, and the night was a battlefield of lethal threats. For ancestors who lacked sharp claws or night vision, stepping out of a cave at midnight was a gamble with death. In the thick darkness, they could easily slip off a cliff, lose their bearings, and become easy prey for nocturnal hunters like saber-toothed cats and leopards. Retreating to rest at night was an evolutionary survival strategy. It forced humans to stay inside protected shelters during the exact hours when they were most vulnerable and inefficient. Furthermore, nighttime sleep shaped a revolutionary social advantage: group sleeping. Our ancestors never slept alone. They huddled together around the warm glow of the campfire. Sleeping as a community kept them warm through freezing nights, protected their vulnerable children, and above all, allowed them to share guard duty. Maintaining a synchronized sleep schedule across the tribe not only improved teamwork during the day, but it erected a shared shield of vigilance at night, detecting predators far earlier than any solitary sleeper ever could. Of course, falling asleep temporarily lowers our awareness of our surroundings. But because the biological benefits of sleep are so irreplaceable, evolution didn't eliminate it. Instead, it equipped us with subconscious defense strategies. Even while asleep, the human brain maintains a baseline of acoustic vigilance for unusual sounds, and we experience dozens of micro-arousals, brief awakenings lasting just a few seconds throughout the night to scan the environment, moments we completely forget by morning. This brings up a much bigger question. Why do we pay such a heavy biological price to sleep? What are your brain and body actually doing during those 8 hours of lying motionless in the dark? First, sleep is a dedicated time for neural cleanup and organization. During the day, your brain absorbs billions of data points. If left unorganized, your neural hard drive would quickly overload. While you sleep, your brain replays the day's experiences, consolidating critical memories and filing them into long-term storage while pruning away unnecessary neural connections. Sleep is the brain's reset button, clearing out mental clutter so you are ready to learn again the next morning. Second, is emotional regulation. Nighttime sleep acts as an emotional shock absorber. When you are well rested, the rational prefrontal cortex of your brain maintains strong control over your impulsive emotional centers. A single night of sleep deprivation shatters this balance. Your brain becomes hyperreactive to negative triggers, leaving you irritable, anxious, and prone to poor decision-making. Third is comprehensive physical restoration. When you fall asleep, your body opens its internal repair shop. Muscle tissue torn from physical labor is rebuilt. The immune system pumps out anti-inflammatory proteins to fight infections. Human growth hormone is flooded into the bloodstream, and your metabolic systems are rebalanced. To accomplish all of this work, nighttime sleep is broken down into 90-minute cycles, alternating between two main phases: non-rapid eye movement, or NREM, and rapid eye movement, or REM, sleep. Deep NREM sleep is when your body focuses on physical repair and hormone release. REM sleep. The phase tied to vivid dreams is when your brain intensely processes emotional memories and boosts creative problem-solving. These NREM and REM cycles repeat 4 to 5 times a night, composing a biological symphony that completely reconstructs who you are. This 90-minute cycle structure explains why humans need a consolidated block of sleep throughout the night rather than short naps scattered across the day. A continuous 7 to 8 hours sleep allow your body to transition smoothly from light to deep stages, ensuring your brain gets both the NREM time required for physical repair and the precious REM sleep at the end of the night for mental renewal. Constantly interrupted sleep keeps you trapped in superficial stages, leaving you exhausted, even if your total sleep hours look sufficient on paper. This doesn't mean human sleep schedules are entirely rigid. We still see cultural adaptations, like afternoon siestas in warmer climates or the segmented sleep of infants and the elderly. Historians have even uncovered evidence that before the invention of electric lighting, many cultures practiced bimodal sleeping, a first sleep for a few hours after dusk, waking up for an hour or two of quiet midnight activity, and then returning for a second sleep until dawn. This proves our sleep schedules can adapt to different environments, but the core rule remains unbroken. The human body always prioritizes the vast majority of its deepest sleep during the dark hours of the night. However, if nighttime is the ideal window for our species as a whole, why are some people wide awake at midnight, while others are yawning at 9 o'clock? Science calls this your chronotype, your personal biological timing. We are all born with an internal clock that is tuned slightly differently by our genetics. We have early birds who bound out of bed at dawn and get sleepy as soon as the sun sets. We have night owls who only hit their creative peak late in the evening. And we have a large, intermediate group sitting right in the middle. Furthermore, your chronotype is not fixed. It shifts as you age. Young children naturally fall asleep early and wake up at dawn. When puberty hits, a massive hormonal shift pushes the adolescent biological clock back by 2 to 3 hours. So when a high school student feels wide awake at 11 at night and groggy at 7 in the morning, it is not laziness or a lack of discipline. It is a real biological shift inside their brain. As we transition into adulthood and older age, that biological clock gradually shifts right back toward early morning hours. But here is a vital fact to remember. Even the most dedicated night owl is still a diurnal creature. Preferring to fall asleep at 2 in the morning and wake up at 10 doesn't turn you into a nocturnal animal. The vast majority of a night owl's sleep still happens in darkness, and the vast majority of their waking hours still take place in daylight. The only difference is the exact starting and ending points of their daily loop. So what happens if you are forced to go completely against this natural rhythm, like millions of night shift workers around the globe? Can the human body ever adapt 100% to staying awake all night and sleeping all day? Unfortunately, the scientific answer is never completely. When a night shift worker tries to close their eyes at noon, they are fighting millions of years of human evolutionary history. Daylight leaking into the bedroom suppresses melatonin. Daytime social noise constantly disrupts their rest. And most importantly, the SCN master clock in their brain stubbornly sends out alertness signals because it knows the sun is shining outside. Despite being exhausted from accumulating adenosine sleep pressure, daytime sleep is almost always shorter, shallower, and more fragmented than nighttime sleep. When you chronically fight your circadian rhythm, your body pays a severe tax. Chronic daytime fatigue, memory impairment, mood swings, and over the long-term disrupted cardiovascular and metabolic systems. Modern sleep science has proven that health doesn't just depend on how many hours you sleep, but on when you sleep and how consistent that schedule is across the light-dark cycle. This circadian law is so deeply rooted that even in the most extreme environments, the human body desperately fights to maintain it. Look at people living in polar regions, where summers bring the midnight sun and winters trap them in months of continuous darkness. To avoid losing their minds to sleep disorders, they have to use blackout curtains, artificial lighting, and strict social routines to construct an artificial day and night for their biology. Or consider individuals who are completely blind and cannot process light through their retinas. Without morning sunlight to hit the reset button, the biological clocks of some blind individuals drift free by a few minutes every day, dragging them through exhausting revolving cycles of insomnia and daytime sleepiness. A powerful reminder of just how deeply our bodies rely on light for synchronization. Even aboard the International Space Station, where astronauts orbit the Earth at blinding speeds and witness 16 sunrises and sunsets every single day, NASA had to install an advanced LED lighting system. This system automatically shifts color and intensity to mimic the exact dawn, daylight, and dusk of Earth, just to keep the astronauts' biological clocks from collapsing in the vacuum of space. With all of this scientific evidence in mind, it's time to put some of our most common sleep myths to rest. First, never believe that humans sleep at night, just out of boredom, because there is nothing else to do. It is an active biological mandate driven by evolution. Second, the idea that you can train your body to not need sleep or to survive on just 3 hours a night is a dangerous illusion. You can mask your exhaustion with caffeine, but you can never negotiate down your biological sleep requirement with nature. Third, sleeping in on the weekend will not magically erase the damage of a 5-day sleep deprivation streak. It might relieve your immediate feeling of fatigue, but it cannot restore a broken circadian rhythm. And finally, stop labeling people who sleep late as lazy or undisciplined. Your sleep timing is the complex result of genetics, age, and environment, not a moral failing of personal willpower. We are creatures of light. We wake up when our planet turns its face toward the sun to explore and build, and we surrender to sleep when Earth turns its back into the darkness to heal and rebuild. Your nighttime sleep is the flawless intersection of a 24-hour biological clock in your hypothalamus, a rising tide of melatonin, the heavy weight of chemical adenosine after a long day, and a survival instinct inherited from millions of years of evolutionary history. So tonight, as darkness falls and your eyelids grow heavy, remember that you are not just wrapping up another workday. You are closing your eyes to step into one of the oldest and most majestic rhythms of life, a rhythm written into every cell of your body and guided by the eternal spin of the Earth itself.